Hi there, and welcome to Bourbon Turntable. We are the show that blends the love of music with the love of whiskey. And tonight, I am joined, as always, by my good friend Drew Crawley. Drew,
Good evening, everybody. How we doing?
good, good to see you again this week.
You
I
as
think
well.
we've got a bit of a different show for everybody, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be interesting, kind of a peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Because
Absolutely.
what we're doing tonight is we've got some of the guys that are in our bourbon group we call it Bourbon Fellowship. We've been meeting, I think, for 4 years now. We just had our 50th meeting together about 2 months ago. So we have had, and all the guys here have been with the group since it started. So we're going to be talking a little bit tonight about being in a bourbon group, what that means, what's fun about it, what benefits are from it, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the specific things we do and whatever these guys want to bring up. So speaking of these guys, I want to quickly introduce them or let them introduce themselves. We'll start with Will.
Hi, everybody. Name's Will Rose. I'm Kevin's son, oldest son. So we've known each other for quite a while.
All your life.
All my life, all 28 years.
All right. And Mark?
Mark Krebs. How are you folks? I have not known any of these guys that long, but I've known Kevin for, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years, I guess, going on,
probably.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
And really met Drew through the Bourbon Fellowship, and then I've known Will for a little bit as well, and then have met Tom as well through the fellowship. So
yeah. And Tom Cole.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Cole used to be Kevin's neighbor till they kicked me out of the neighborhood. Got to meet Kevin in 2005 when I moved here and watch William grow up. So pleasure to be here, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you guys for being here. And we do have a quick message before we get into the heart of the show, so stay tuned.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Don't forget to comment if you're watching live in the chat. Leave a comment down below afterwards. Always remember that thumbs up.
Thanks, Mike. As always, you do a great job promoting the show. We really appreciate it. The check is in the mail. So, one of the things that we do a lot of at Bourbon Fellowship is we do blind tastings because I believe blind tasting is truth. It removes all the bias. So you're not able to say, well, I don't like that brand, or I don't like that mash bill, or I like something that's older, or I like something that's younger, or higher proof or lower proof. All that stuff gets thrown out of the window, and it's just what's in your glass and how you taste it, how you smell it, how you enjoy it. So I've given these guys 2 samples, and we'll start with sample A because we have sample A and we'll have sample B. So very creatively in an ingenious way, we're going to start with sample A. So if you've got it in your glass, go ahead and nose it, taste it, whatever you want to do with it. And we'll just start getting your thoughts on what you have.
This one's different. We just finished up recording another show with a pretty well-known, little well-aged brand. But, man, I get so much grain on the nose on this. And then the back end is almost pure just cocoa, dark chocolate. I've taken 3 or 4 sips, and I'm kind of having a hard time moving much past that dark chocolate note. That's really tasty.
yeah, I get on the nose. It reminds me of just like hay, like fresh cut hay. But I do on the back end, on the palate, I get that dark chocolate type. It's not super bitter, but it's there a little bit.
What's the candy bar it's like a Three Musketeers with the nougat, but it's got the dark chocolate? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Like a Three Musketeers with the nougat.
Dark
Yeah.
chocolate. I don't know.
It's a Three Musketeers bar.
Three Musketeers.
They may have one. I don't know. That's what this reminds me of. You got kind of that. It's not chalky, but it's that little bit of kind of a remnant residue kind of a thing that stays on your tongue after this one too.
Yeah. Hey, Drew, your mic is kind of getting scratchy again. So I don't know how you fixed it last time, but yeah, I'm not sure what that would be, Drew. Dark chocolate with nougat, but Toblerone? I don't know. No, it's not Toblerone.
I do get like, it sounds contradictory, I guess, but I do kind of get that bittersweet aftertaste. I don't know if I would necessarily say it was like a dark chocolate, but I do kind of, I understand what you're tasting there. And on the nose, I was getting like, I don't know if this is even a thing, but like it kind of Mark was saying, like I freshly cut grass, but it was almost like had a sweet scent to it too. I don't know how to describe that any better, but that was kind of what I was picking up.
I get the grain quite a bit. It's very grain forward, as you guys say. I get the grain quite a bit, which I like. It's looking at the color, looks like it may be less than 4 years, maybe. Could be deceiving, I guess, depending upon the barrel, but
could be.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's probably on the younger side. I mean, I wouldn't even go 4 years, probably, maybe somewhere closer to 3. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah.
Barrel size obviously would have a big role in that. So.
I could sip on this though, Kevin. This is not.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
So overall, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. The thing that I would add to it, I think there's a pear note in it. Taste it again. See if you get any of that. Any thoughts?
I could see a pear, maybe even a little bit more peach to me, but that just could be where my palate's a little tired. But yeah, definitely kind of that lighter tree fruit note.
You know, I don't. If it's peach, I kind of get where you're going with that. I don't know. Sometimes I get pear and they're not ripe, but if this is pear, it's more ripened pear. If that makes any sense. Tartness that you get with some of the younger pears. I don't know what I said.
Okay. Any other thoughts? But
we got nothing else.
You know, as far as just overall thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways.
Good.
Yeah, I think if there's a weakness, it would be that this would have a hard time maybe standing up if you were to mix it with anything. But that's not a bad thing. If you're gonna sip this neat, you could do it all weekend long.
Yeah.
Enjoy it pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, it is 86 proof.
Okay.
And it is Pacific Flyway whiskey, which is from our friend Chris Koenig out at Golden Beaver Distillery in Chico, California. And it is a rice mash bill.
I was going to ask. I was going to ask mash bill.
Yeah. So there is a percentage of rice and there's a percentage of malted rice. He didn't disclose the mash bill, but that's what this is. And a lot of people, a lot of traditional bourbon drinkers, if you hand them a bottle and say, "Hey, try this. It's a rice-based whiskey," they're going to think what?
Sake.
Yeah. Right. And they're probably going to turn their nose up at it and pass. But
Benihanas, you know.
But trying it blind, it gave you what?
I don't know if I have anything that I would compare it to in terms of other whiskeys. But it forces you to take it with an open mind. You don't think immediately, oh, it's a rice whiskey. I'm not going to enjoy this, right? You taste it and you take it for what it is, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny. The theme of this is bourbon groups, I guess tonight, or the first part, side A is.
Yep.
I got to meet Chris the other night, Monday night, at a different bourbon group.
Yep.
And I had heard about it. I didn't get to try it. He didn't bring a bottle with us that night. So I was thinking, well, I sure would like to try that at some point, but I'm thankful to be able to try it now. So thank you, Kevin, for opening my eyes.
Yep. Yep. We've actually had it at Bourbon Fellowship before. And we've had Chris on the show before. Chris is a great guy. He's doing some very creative stuff. And part of what I think the challenge is for him and his distillery is getting people to try something that is different in terms of a traditional mash bill. And so I think what I think we've proven tonight in the first 10 or 11 minutes of the show is blind tasting makes a big difference. It allows you to put the bias aside and try what's in front of you just for what's in the glass. And so we'll move on to the second sample, which is cleverly titled Sample B. And we'll see what you guys think about it.
So I see a theme here, Kevin. You got like side A, side B. You got sample A, sample B. What is that going on here?
I know the first part of my alphabet.
It gets a little murky after C. Nothing get past you, Tommy.
Can you do it backwards though? That's the key.
No,
well, we know Tom knows it up through D and F because that's probably the grades he got in school. But
Acres.
Drew, when I was in school, we got the report cards that said "talks too much." Stuff like that.
Oh man! All right, so you guys have sample B ready?
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ooh,
This one's different.
It
Yeah,
is
very different.
this comes out much more on the spicy side of things. Get kind of that. It's almost like a tea. Kind of reminds me of like a chamomile kind of a thing. Get a little bit of a honey note as well. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It sings hot toddy just a little bit, but man, that's different. I like that a lot.
Definitely richer, for sure.
Yeah.
Makes you go back to it again because the first taste of it really takes you away from where you're thinking a bourbon is or a whiskey is.
Yeah. I get a little more like tropical fruit vibes. I mean, maybe that's some like there's some apricot or something in there, but there's some, and then I get a little more alcohol on the nose too. I feel like it burns a little bit, but I don't get it in the palate.
Okay.
You know, I have a thought about what this might be, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I am getting the tropical fruit that you're talking about, Mark. Yeah, mango or something. I don't know, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. There's some. I don't know. I could speculate on what it is, but I'd probably be wrong.
You can speculate in a moment. Let's kind of get some get some other thoughts on it. Tommy, what do you think?
You know, you guys have a much stronger vocabulary and palate than I do. The power of persuasion is always pretty strong when I'm in the room and you guys are spouting things off, you know. So I try to form my own, and I'm not there yet. I'm just still trying to figure out some of those notes I'm getting. I should pull my flavor wheel out and operate from there.
Okay. Any other ideas, guys?
I'm thinking I know this is interesting. I know you're not a big fan of finished whiskeys, except finishing them yourselves. But
Right.
from a finished whiskey standpoint, I feel like this may be finished in a secondary barrel, maybe to give some of those tropical notes. to it.
I can see that.
That's a good guess.
I believe that.
It doesn't strike me as something that Bronner has in his lineup with the Buzzard Roost stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was somehow related to that. There's a complexity and a richness. I'm taking kind of a stab in the dark, maybe sticking my neck out too far there, but I could see it being, maybe an MGP product or maybe something that's aged in a secondary cask as well. I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But after you get through the first taste of it, I mean, that part of my challenge is it's hard for me to go from a mainstream to a craft to a back, So once I get a few more tastes of something, I can enjoy it a lot more, if you know what I mean. I struggle with the first taste sometimes. I got to go back to it to kind of get consistency.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts before we have the big reveal?
I've got two guesses. I think it might be one of two things.
All right.
But I think it reminds me of either some stuff that I've had from Watershed Distillery up in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
But it's also kind of has maybe some Chattanooga whiskey vibes to it.
Okay.
I could see like with some of their experimental stuff that they do, like this could easily be something that's in their wheelhouse. So
okay. Those are both distilleries that I enjoy. Any other thoughts?
Excited to hear what it is, Kevin.
Okay. All right. It is Buzzard Roost.
Wow.
It is the barrel on the left in this photo. It is the peated barrel.
Peated barrel?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not getting any peat off of it right now.
I'm not either.
It's very subtle. It's very subtle.
Drew, you were spot on with the Buzzard's Roost guess. I was gonna say it didn't taste like Buzzard's Roost to me. That's interesting.
Now I've tried this at your house, and I've tried it down at the Bourbon's Bistro. I like the peated, and you had to twist my arm the first time, Kevin, to get me to try the peated, because when I was at Westport and I tried a peated Scotch, I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth for a week.
Right.
But the Buzzard's Roost peated I thought was very good.
Yeah. And that's the theme tonight is bias. And when people look at this bottle and they see that it says peated on it, a lot of people have that same reaction. It's peated. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
you know what's funny is I was going to say that when you're talking about the rice whiskey and what Chris is going through to try to get his product out to the marketplace more, because isn't Jason going to change the name of it from peated because of the drawbacks?
He's going to change it from peated to smoked. The next release of this will be smoked barrel instead of peated barrel for just that reason.
Interesting.
But I was at Bourbon's Bistro on Tuesday night and with a group of people, and we were trying doing some tastings with Jason, and that was in the lineup. And again, it's a lot of people are going to say I'm not a fan of peated, but everybody that tries it says, "Oh wow, this is really good."
Yeah.
But you got to get past that bias, and in this case, it's just the label bias of the word peated on that label. So they're not going to fight it. They're going to change the label to where it says smoked, and people are going to say, "Great, I'll try that," and they're going to love it. And then they'll dig, if they do their homework and dig into it, they'll see that the barrels have been smoked with peat, and that's what the smoke is. So again, we're dealing with a bias situation that you overcome through a blind tasting. I didn't ask this before and probably should have, but as far as this Buzzard Roost peated barrel, are we thumbs up on it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yep. So, so that's we do blind tastings fairly regularly in our group, right? Is that fair to say?
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
What do you think about a blind tasting? Uh, is that something you enjoy? Is it something that makes you a little uneasy, or what are your thoughts?
It's definitely something I enjoy. I am. I'm still developing my taste for bourbon in a lot of ways, and anytime we have a you offer a blind tasting, I'll go with it because I want to know what I personally like, not what everybody else in the group has to say. So, I just about every Bourbon Fellowship that we have that you offer something like that, I'll take you up on it.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful for the wallet as well. I mean, I know that's not a consideration for everybody, but making sure that what you're buying is what's worth your time. A lot of times we want to spend $50-$60 because we know that's going to be what we consider the best. But it's nice to know that there's some better stuff out there that's a little cheaper.
Oh yeah,
True.
I got 2 words for you, Drew, and I hate to be the one to bring this up, but Cooper's Craft.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Tommy, because I was just about to reference that.
Speaking of blind tastings,
some of my favorite.
oh look, it's Alan Bishop.
Some of my favorite tastings that we've done, blind specifically, that we've done, always have some of the most shocking reveals. When some very highly regarded bourbon aficionados in our group pick Cooper's Craft, as you have referenced. And Drew wasn't the only one who picked it. Let's just throw that out.
To be fair, yes, to be fair.
But I mean, there's other things we've done where we've picked, OWA over a Pappy 15 year.
Right.
And it just goes to show you that the label, you can't base what you like just based off the way the label looks or what you've heard. You really should taste it, and tasting it blind really does take that. Man, you've offended Drew. Look what you did, Tom.
Always Tom.
Really takes that bias out and just allows you to just experience the whiskey, in the glass with no pretension.
And one of my favorite Bourbon Fellowship group nights of the year is always when we do our March bracket.
Yeah.
I think it was last year where it was like I can't remember which bourbon it was, but it was like basically it was like Cocoa Puffs. I wanted to say it was like the flavor that everybody was kind of debating, and it was so polarizing. Just who was for that and who was absolutely not something they wanted to try again. Because it was basically half the group.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago. It was 80 Laws bottled in bond.
Yeah.
And there were it was almost like as polarizing as American politics is right now. You had people that this is great, I love it, and there were people like, I can't drink this. It's like, it's like drinking your the milk out of your Cocoa Krispies. And
hold on, why do you not drink the milk after your Cocoa Krispies? Like, what kind of savage are you?
I don't know.
You probably didn't drink it out of Fruit Loops either, though, Mark.
Oh, jeez.
Fruit Loops. and not Flintstones vitamins either. But okay, that's a different story for a different day.
Ouch! Yeah, I hate that one.
So one of the things that I always have tried to get out of putting together the themes for our group, and every month we have a different theme, and one of the things that I want to try to do is, first of all, make it fun, make it something that everybody's going to enjoy, but I also want to make it a little challenging. What have you guys experienced? Are there specific of themes that we've had or nights that we've had that you felt this is challenging, this has helped me grow or expand as a bourbon drinker?
I always like the craft night, the craft bourbon nights.
Yeah.
You know, you get exposed to a lot of different stuff, and stuff that's very, very unique, and just you get to expand your horizons with what you might like, and
Mhm.
what you might not ever really get introduced to, in a lot of scenarios. So.
Okay.
And William, to your point, I think we're blessed to have the guy in my top left of my screen up here because of his inventory of crafts, things that I would never be able to taste, or you don't see at a bar anywhere. But Kevin has really opened our eyes to a lot of these things across the board. I mean, this rice whiskey comes out of was that Washington State, Kevin? Is that where it is?
Chico, California.
California. I mean, I'm not sure what the distribution is, but you probably won't get a whole lot of that over here in Kentucky.
No, probably not. Not yet, anyway.
I have a hard time just choosing like one particular night. I think craft night is always a great night that you get exposed to so many different things. But I feel like every time we're together, there's always something different and unique on the table that you can try something completely different and make a determination whether you like it or not. I've had several things that I didn't care for. I've had things that I loved, and but every table, regardless of what the theme is, it can be, it can be craft night, it can be Jurai, it can be, pick a night. Other spirits. When we did that, and we had rums and tequilas and armagnacs and all kinds of fun things. Like that's a great way just to expand your horizon, expand your palate a little bit, and try something different. You might find that you really like something. I really have gotten in and enjoyed armagnacs. If it wasn't for one of the members in our group, I don't think I've ever would have tried an armagnac, but I did, got exposed to it, loved it. Probably like it a little too much right now, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
My wife might be.
No, you're not complaining.
Yeah.
Yes. Drew, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I would echo what all these guys said. But I like the nights where we do maybe a vertical of something. We do a Booker's night every year. We usually have some kind of Booker smoked meat and a bourbon pecan pie, or whatever the case may be. But I enjoy those where you get to compare one specific release or expression across multiple releases. And that's been a one that I've really enjoyed as well, just because you can see, okay, hey, just because it has this name on it, and this price tag and this proof point, maybe that's not the one for me. And otherwise, without doing those things side by side, you don't really get that experience. And it's pretty cool just to see everybody kind of pitch in and do those together as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that one of the things that makes all of this work is you guys being accepting to whatever we're doing that night. And sometimes it's not that complicated. Sometimes it's just, hey, let's just bring some bottles and let's talk about it. But having a group that is willing to say, okay, whatever we're doing tonight, I'm going to get into it, and we're going to have fun with it, and just take it from there. Because our group is not one that is affluent in the level of every night we're having. There's not a one-upmanship kind of thing going on where, well, oh, okay, well, I've got, this, Dusty of Jim Beam from 1968. Oh, well, I've got this pre-Fire Heaven Hill, and we've done those kind of things, but it's not every week, and it's not always trying to one up the other. It's more of a standpoint of, let's enjoy this whiskey that we've got, and a lot of it's maybe things that we've not had before, but let's talk about it, let's learn about it, let's expand our palate, let's expand our universe of the whiskeys that we know about. And being able to approach it that way, makes our group a lot of fun, I think. And we're not just so locked into trying to find the rarest, most expensive bottle out there, because at the end of the day, I don't think that it really makes that much difference.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to add that I think that our group does a really good job of managing or eliminating egos. We really don't have any egos when it comes to that. You know, it's not, oh, you've got this bottle, I've got this bottle. You know, like there's members in our group with really nice bottles, and we bring them and we share them and we open them and we pour them freely.
Right.
And it's not a status thing. I know that I know in some groups that can be that way. We've done a really good job of avoiding that, and I think it's just a tribute to the guys in our group, and just where they're at and their personality and stuff. So I find that that's really special about our group. I don't know if that's unique, but it's definitely a special thing about our group. And then to your point, Kevin, I don't think that sometimes the whiskey really even matters. We enjoy each other's company enough.
Yep.
And we enjoy the fellowship. And I think that's really, when you break down our group, even at its core, its name, it's Bourbon Fellowship. And yeah, bourbon is what brings us together for the fellowship, but really the fellowship is always paramount. So whether it's an Elijah Craig small batch, shelfer, or it's some unique craft thing, or it's some dusty turkey from 1972, it really doesn't matter as much. It's more about the fellowship portion.
Yep. I'd like to speak to that more. Before I do, is the crackle gone in my audio? Are we okay?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
All right. I'll shut up if it's still there. But no, I was just going to say on that point, I mean, you look at our group and on paper, there's not a lot of reasons for all of us to be friends. We've got people from every different, background, whether that be ethnic background, political background, religious background, socioeconomic background. And over the past, several years, we've all gone to this or grown into this real family or familial type relationship that's really special, kind of centered around bourbon and music. It started there, but we've watched people, have children. We've watched people lose family members. We've gone through tremendous hard times together. And whether it's over a pour or listen to a song, everybody, when somebody comes in, it's a handshake and a hug. And when they leave, it's a handshake and a hug. And it's a, hey, I'll be there for you. And it's really special considering what we all probably look like to each other on paper. It's pretty cool just to get to see that play out month after month. And then all the group text, day in, day out,
right,
where we're sharing life together. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
It's how I was introduced to bourbon through the group. So when I started, or whenever we started this group, I don't even remember if I've had a sip beforehand. Maybe I tried it just to.
I think you were 12 years old. Well, I think you were 12 when we started.
Yeah, we might get in trouble if that's the case, but yeah, like I've that's how I got started into drinking bourbon. I don't drink a lot of bourbon on my own time, but it's when I do drink, it's with these guys, and it's always a special time.
I remember when we first started doing this, you were mixing whiskey with Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
and that was okay because that's where you were.
Yep.
But you kind of quickly went from that to drinking cast strength whiskey neat, and quite frankly have developed a really good palate for things, and have some wonderful comments when we're tasting something blind in our group about what you're tasting in that, and I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to, unless somebody has anything else, because part of what I want to be able to do is if anybody that's listening to this, you don't have to have a huge number of people to have a good bourbon group, and you don't have to have 14 bottles of Pappy or all the Wellers or Blanton in the world to have a fun, successful bourbon group. If you're out there and you're wanting to start a group and you want some ideas, just reach out to me. I'll send you all the lists of things that we've tried over the years and which ones have worked well and which ones haven't worked as well. But the key is just kind of being consistent with it and finding that right group of people that fit the vibe of your group. There are some groups out there that it is all about, and we have some pretty obnoxious looking tables at our group sometimes. But it's not about having a table that exceeds your net worth at your whiskey group. It's really about learning more about what the whiskey is and how it's made and what's behind it, and that being a vehicle for bringing people together and really getting to know one another, getting to love one another. And I think that's one of the great things about the group that we've got. So,
Kevin, one more thing on that, and I think this is something fun we do each time we get together. And if people are looking to start a group, I think what you've done with the playlist is always fun. We're always trying to figure out what the playlist is, why you picked it. I mean, you not only put a lot of thought into the pairings or tastings we're going to do, but also in the environment as well. So it's just it's a neat time. As you know, as Will said, each of those Thursdays is it's on my calendar. Sometimes I come early. I would
a week or two early.
Early. Yeah.
There has been times where Tom's knocked on the door the second Thursday of the month.
I mean, it's called pre-gaming, Kevin. We're just pre-gaming here. Okay?
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we're going to kind of wrap up side A of the show here, and we're going to get ready for side B of it. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about the Alan Bishop Experience. This is a documentary about Alan Bishop. He is the head distiller and alchemist at Spirits of French Lick in West Baden Springs, Indiana. A documentary was done by Bo Cumberland. Bo, if you look at the picture on the top right-hand corner, Alan is on the left, Bo is on the right. Bo has done a lot of documentaries over the years. He's done a few for ABV Network. He's done some on his own, some really good moonshining documentary. It was really good stuff. But Bo filmed, I think he said he had over 60 hours of footage of interviews with Alan, interviews with Joey Kasperzak, who's in the bottom left corner, who had worked with Alan for several years at Spirits of French Lick. And he also interviewed a lot of people that know Alan. I am actually one of those people that got interviewed for it. But they did the premiere of this, as we're recording this episode, they did the premiere of this last night. There will be, I think they're going to do a public showing sometime soon, and then it will be released out on YouTube. If you don't follow Alan on social media, you should, for a lot of different reasons, but most of all, so you know when this documentary will be released where you can see it. It's a lot of fun. It gives you a lot of insights into Alan and his background and how he got into distilling, where he is from on his career arc, and just the people that are around him as well. So it's a lot of fun. I know that you will enjoy it. So be on the lookout for the Alan Bishop Experience. All right. So, and if you're on social media and you follow Alan, then you've probably seen some of the photos from the release party. So anyway, on the record, I was very well behaved. So
on the record, important distinction. On the record, you were well behaved. I want to know what wasn't documented and posted.
I don't know what you're talking about, Drew. Don't know what you're talking about. Hey, let's talk about some. Here's awkward segue number one. Let's talk about some music. Okay. So one of the things when we have guests on the show, we'll usually ask everybody, what was your first concert? What was your first album? So Tom, as the
Oldest.
more senior member of the group.
I was going to say uglier.
Well,
I love you, Tom.
Jealousy's tough, Mark.
Yeah.
what
she's real.
was the first album that you bought? You remember?
Probably one of the first albums I bought was a Yes album.
Oh, that's fun.
A Yes album. I mean, I was I had a rich invitation early on into rock and roll because I had an older brother who was 2 years older than me. So some of the tastes that he had were not acquired by me yet, but wanting to be like the older brother, you just kind of listen to what he's playing, and then you were cool with the other people too. So, but I think one of the first albums I really bought was probably a Yes album that I recall just burning that thing up.
Yeah, so. Like Roundabout was on it, or yeah, that's some good stuff.
But I bought more 8-tracks of the day, Kevin. I had more 8-track tapes than albums. So because I couldn't do the things I wanted to do at home, and my car didn't really work well with a record player. It was more portable to use an 8-track tape player in my car where I could do what I wanted to do and listen to the music I want to listen
to. All right. I understand that. Mark, how about you?
That's a great question. I was trying to think back about that today. I didn't grow up with 8-tracks or albums, but I remember recording, and this is not my first album, but I remember recording songs onto a cassette off the radio. Did anybody ever do that? Maybe it was just, okay.
Yeah. I honestly didn't think you were that old to have ever had to do that. But okay.
Oh yeah, no, I was. So it's funny because I probably have a different genre. Like when I grew up and first started being introduced to music, I had a completely different genre than probably most of you guys. I was more on the R&B and rap side. And so for me, I think it was one of two albums, and I can't remember which one it was. It was either Bone Thugs and Harmony or it was West Side Connections. So like I had a completely different probably set of musical taste at that age, and I've evolved a lot since then. I just want to throw that out there. Doesn't mean I can't get down with some Jack Harlow or something, but that was, I think, one of my first albums. It was either Bone Thugs and Harmony or the West Side Connections Bow Down album.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting playlist, I think, for the show.
I'm starting with Roundabout and then going to this. So it'll be very interesting. It'll
be eclectic, as the kids say.
Okay, now Will, you're on the younger end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So
I don't remember purchasing many albums. I'll say that. I remember buying albums, like physical albums. I'll say I remember buying albums on like iTunes or whatever. The first album that I remember vividly, like, oh yeah, I want to listen to this album, was How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb.
Okay.
That's I remember purchasing that album on iTunes for sure. And I mean, that's one of the albums where there are no skips for me on that album. I'll listen to that thing all the way through.
That's solid.
Yeah. I like the no skips reference. That's a Bourbon Turntable show reference right there. Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I Napstered that album.
I was gonna say Napster too, but that was I used Napster for a couple months there, but
LimeWire, Napster, yep.
I think we see that tour together. I don't remember.
I think you and Mom did up in
Pittsburgh.
We
yeah.
saw another one up in Chicago. I think it was
Yeah.
closer to like, I think it was closer when I was in high school. I think
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
2010 or something like
Yeah.
that.
And then we saw him here in Louisville and
Yep.
okay.
We saw him in Chicago twice.
Yes, we saw him in Chicago at Soldier Field. We saw him at
and then
United
at
Center.
United Center, yep.
And then at the
Papa John. Well, I don't know if it's Papa John's Cardinal Stadium anymore, but
no,
Cardinal Stadium, whatever.
I don't think it is. Whatever it's called now.
Formerly known.
Stadium, yes, formerly known as Prince. No, and the funny thing about that is we're walking in and we run into Mark and his wife, and so we got to enjoy that concert with them and another friend, another lovely friend. So that was a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun.
Very hot though.
Yeah, it was.
It was warm. It was very warm, but it was a good show. Okay, so that kind of segues to the second standard question. What was your first concert? Do you remember that, Tom?
Yeah, because of that, I changed my name for you, Kevin.
You changed the name twice now.
Yeah,
Tom, Tommy, and OG Tom.
Just checking with you guys if you're paying attention.
Not really.
Rob and I were talking about this earlier today. I believe my first concert was actually Eagles in Atlanta.
Cool.
That's the first one I recall actually seeing. I mean, again, back in the 70s, there were, $12, you go to the Omni in Atlanta and see anybody. I mean, it was just incredible. But I think Eagles was the actual first one I recall actually getting tickets to.
Okay. Mark?
I had to think back on this one too. I think so. I grew up in the church, right? And so I think my first like big concert was probably like the Newsboys and Audio Adrenaline. Like that I think is what. But I went to a lot of other smaller shows, especially in high school with local bands that I couldn't tell you their names and what they were.
Right.
But I think the first really big concert I saw was probably at the Palace or Freedom Hall or something, and it was Newsboys and Audio Adrenaline. So I remember the drummer, went up on the riser and it flipped forward and stuff and spinning around. So
inspired young Mark to become a drummer.
It did, yes.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that spinning platform though.
Okay. I don't think that's in the AV budget at church, but
I was thinking maybe. Drew, if we take it on the road,
I was gonna say we've got some music coming out that Mark plays the drums on, so maybe on our tour.
Yeah, I don't know that necessarily fits the brand, Drew, but okay, we'll try it. Will, how about you? Do you remember your first concert? Because I do.
I remember what it was. I don't remember much about it. I was really, really little. But it was DC Talk.
It was DC Talk.
We saw them in what is now Bridgestone Arena, right? We saw them in Nashville.
We saw them in Nashville.
Whatever it was whatever it was called back then. But yeah, that was my first concert.
Yep. I was very excited to take you to go see that concert. I remember your reaction was very stoic. And I'm like, okay, is he having a good time? Is he hating this? I don't know what's going on. But I was excited about that. This was going to be your first concert, and we're going to get to go to it together. And it was DC Talk, a band that was really important to me. And so,
well, the album that they're touring for or whatever, it's the album I still listen to quite frequently too. So that stuck.
Yeah. Okay. What was the last concert you went to? Do you remember that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Tool concert here in Louisville.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And a unique experience in a couple of different ways, but it was phenomenal to see them live.
Yeah. Mark, you remember your last concert?
I think it's been a while since I've seen a lot of concerts. I think the last one I went to may have been Drew Crawley. It's been a little while. Now I'm gonna have to remedy that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need to buy some more tickets, bud.
I do. Gonna go ahead and book my tickets for Bourbon and Beyond now. The whole 4-day pass.
They got some good people coming.
There are some really good people.
Yeah. Tom, you remember your last concert?
Oddly enough, it's probably Eagles. I mean,
Yeah.
they've continued to tour, and as we were talking, I went and looked at the set list from '79 when they toured. And I was like, wow, that just brings back some memories.
Yeah.
But I do think besides it was really a concert we had out there freezing our butt off. Mark, was that really a concert for Drew we had out there?
I warmed up from the inside, and I couldn't tell it was cold. So.
Yeah, we got to go backstage up to that little room up in the top. It was kind of a special room up there too.
It's well stocked.
It was well stocked. But anyway, so I think Eagles was probably my last one, Kevin.
Okay. Now, how many times have you seen the Eagles?
Gosh, there's a concert place in Atlanta called Chastain Park.
Yep.
It's an amphitheater, and when the Eagles broke up, it was devastating to Robin and I because we were both big Don Henley fans. But then he started touring on his own, and so it's hard to recall if it was actually Don or it was Don Henley. I remember going to a book signing with Robin, and it was a Don Henley book signing, and this is before Hell Freezes Over came out. I thought it was so funny because I snuck into the back of the way like I typically do. I sneak into things, and Robin had the receipt to get in the front door. I went through the back door, and I met her in the line to go meet Don Henley. And, so I was like, hey, guys, I've heard some rumors about you guys getting back together. Don, is that really true? And he looks at me, the whole face in the eyes, he goes, when hell freezes over, and I was like, wow, that's anger there. And then a few years later, it comes out with the tour, Hell Freezes Over. I'm like, man, how far back was that planned?
Right.
These guys, how far back was that? Because I'm very sure he used that line amongst every one of the idiots like me asking him the question. When do y'all get back together again, man? Rock on.
Yeah.
Kevin, what was your last concert? Would it be Blue Funk or would it be something else?
Yeah, we saw Blue Funk at Stevie Ray's recently, and have probably seen you play a couple of times. And the last big touring act was probably that Tool concert with Will. Yeah. How about you? Well, you just came back from Bonnaroo. So.
Yeah, I just came back from Bonnaroo. This time a week ago, I was watching a goddess amongst us mortals, Miss Stevie Nicks, close down the festival. So, Stevie Nicks was my last big act. And man, I'll tell you what, I saw her probably 7-8 years ago when the Sound City record came out, and it was her and Dave Grohl, Paul McCartney, Rick Springfield. They were all on tour together. And I thought then, man, she has not lost a step. She can still sing, note for note, all these old tunes. And seeing her last week, still there. She's 74, 75, I think now. She's pretty great. So I think this is her last hurrah, from what I've seen on the Reddits and, Facebook pages and whatnot. But yeah, she's special.
That's what they always say, though.
Yeah. Until there's another fat pile of cash to go back on tour.
Right. Or, hey, come be the artist in residence at the Caesar's Palace for 3 months. Yeah.
Yep. So. I was thinking of you when we were watching her because she did Stop Dragging My Heart Around during her regular set. And then in the encore, she came back out and they had a Tom Petty tribute.
Mike Campbell. Was Mike Campbell there?
Mike Campbell was not on stage, but he was featured heavily in the slideshow. So they did Free Fallin', and they, she told some stories about her time with Tom and how much she loved him, and it was cool.
She wanted to be a heartbreaker.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, but never really happened.
Kevin, I could be mistaken. When we were in Vegas, the Who may have been my last large concert.
That's been a while, Tom. You need to go to a concert, man.
Well, I mean, I got a lot of live music here with you guys, and different settings here, and I don't really consider those necessarily concerts. But
Right.
COVID hit. That was probably in 2017 when we went to Who or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly when, but that you think about. It sounds kind of corny to say, yeah, I saw the Who at Caesar's Palace, but that arena was maybe a 2,100 seat arena, and you're getting to see at least the remnants of the Who. You're getting to see Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend play, and our seats were great. We were mezzanine level right up at the front, so you could see everything, and it was really special. Really,
it truly was.
Yeah. So, who have you guys seen the most in your life? Tom, I'm guessing that's the Eagles for you, right?
Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark.
I don't know if I have a ton of repeats.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. Yeah, not more than once or twice for most people.
Okay. All right. Will?
I haven't gone to a ton of concerts in my lifetime, but by far it's U2 with 3.
Yeah. Drew?
Yeah, mine would be John Mayer. I've seen him 9 times. Hoping to get some more on that.
Yeah.
You guys can mock me all you want for Cooper's Craft and John Mayer, but I like what I like.
I'm not mad at John Mayer. Where does Ruxton Kelly line up in the John Mayer?
Yeah, so I like Rustin more than I like John Mayer's music. I connect with it more, but I've only gotten to see him, I think, 3 times. Yeah. He's kind of reclusive and tends to not tour a whole lot. So when he does, I try to see him. But
didn't you just see him like 3 times in 3 days, like last week? Or
yes. We don't have to talk about my obsession. Yeah, no, I think we saw him 3 times in like a week last year. Yeah,
your concert going tendencies are the things that restraining orders are made of.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you should look at my budgeting apps because concert tickets probably cost me more than my rent right now, but I'm really okay with that. I think that's a good standard of living.
So what's the next concert you're going to?
Next one for me would be Willie Nelson on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You go see him at Iroquois here.
I might sneak into that one. Tom, you want to go sneak into that one?
Tom will sneak into the concert. Yeah. Absolutely, he will.
Everyone will be so high they won't notice. You'll be fine.
Well, that's what I'm banking on.
Yeah,
that and a contact buzz. So.
No, there's actually a reference to Willie Nelson just because somebody mentioned the term Omaha the other day at work. Somebody said something about Omaha, and there's a song you guys may remember it about Willie Nelson talking about Omaha. Next time I'm gonna go to wherever I'm going through Omaha. If you don't recognize that reference, I'm sorry, but I had to go Google seriously deep into it to figure out what songs have the word Omaha in it. It was a Willie Nelson song.
Yeah,
it was meaningful to me back in the 80s about driving through some city and trying to get Mississippi through Omaha. So, ringing bells, Kevin? Come on, I know you're the oldest guy here with me.
It doesn't, Tom. I'm sorry.
Next time I go to so and so, I'm going through Omaha. And he's more talking. It's more talk. And never mind. But yeah, I'm going with you, Mark. Let's go.
Sneaking in to see Willie.
All right. Anything else that you guys are listening to right now? Do you want to talk about? New, old, whatever.
I just came back from a big festival and was really, really surprised by a couple of acts. There's a girl from Canada named Fletcher that I happened to sit in on and really enjoyed. But then they do this thing at Bonnaroo every year called the Super Jam, and they usually center it around one artist and one theme. They'll bring different guests, either other festival players or something else. So I saw Jack Antonoff, who was a member of the band Fun. He's a producer for Taylor Swift on her last 2 projects. He did a whole 1984 themed hour-and-a-half set. Okay. So it's all songs from 1984. So all week I've been listening to Phil Collins' Against All Odds and Prince's When Doves Cry. And I've been very happy musically over the past couple of days.
That's very good.
Yeah,
Very
that's
good.
that's what's on my playlist right now.
Okay.
What about you guys?
I've been hopping around and stuff. You know, I've been listening to everything from Leon Bridges to we mentioned Tom Petty. You know, it seems like when I'm listening to music lately, it's in the evening sitting around smoking a cigar, and that's usually like I want to listen to some Tom Petty or Chris Stapleton or, you know, just something kind of chill, kind of fits the vibe. But yeah, so
Okay.
nothing brand new by any means.
You know, the cool thing about listening to music these days, and I'm not sure if you guys have caught on to this, you probably have because you're much more adept than I am on some of these things. But when you listen to music and you're looking at your phone or whatever, especially on Spotify, they actually have a button called lyrics.
Yep.
And I had no idea how many words I had wrong to many of the songs that I've loved over the years.
I'm with you, Tom.
But it's just it's neat to see that not every artist releases their lyrics to that page, but it's really fun to try to read along to the song as you're listening to it. Kevin will pick on me, but I've been into an REO Speedwagon thing lately. I really love some of their old songs, and on my playlist that Kevin helped start for my birthday back a year ago.
Yep.
He threw some REO on there because he knows I'm a fan of that. But I guess REO and Head East, some of those are just some old guy albums. But
Yeah. Okay. Will, anything?
I usually go on like these spans of time where it's like I'm listening just to this, like the same band for 4 or 5 months or whatever. And so I wasn't too familiar with Tool. I knew a few of their songs before we went to the concert. So before we went to the concert, I kind of tried to familiarize myself with some of their other stuff. And after that, I mean, I can't remember how long ago it was, but that's mainly what I've been listening to aside from 90s grunge or whatever. That's typically my genre of choice, but I've been listening to a lot of Tool recently.
This weekend, well, I guess in the past week, I've listened to a lot of Nathaniel Rateliff, and just blown away with his stuff. Kind of got into a Queens of the Stone Age vibe yesterday, and then Marcus King has some new stuff out, so I've been listening to it. Tedeschi Trucks has a new album out. They're just doing some really cool stuff. And then there's a band called Dirty Honey, which is a pretty fun blues rock bar band kind of feel to it. It's a lot of fun to listen to also. So all right. Anything else you guys want to share on the music side of things?
Freebird.
Somebody's
got to throw Freebird out there somewhere. So
we'll get to that. All right. So we'll give you guys a chance to promote anything on social media that you want to. If you want people to follow you on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Barbarian Redneck. That's redneck without a C, REDNEK. I don't post a ton. Yeah, I'm an average amount. Usually pictures of my kids or whiskey or some drum photos and things like that. So if you're into those things, give me a follow.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you can follow if you want. There's nothing there. I couldn't tell you the last time I posted anything on Instagram or Twitter. It's been years. I just kind of lurk on there. So I think it's UT_Will or something like that. Or I think that's one of my usernames.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're wanting to follow a lurker, there you go. Tom?
Yeah.
I'd like for you guys to start following me on MySpace.
Oh, wait, you're that Tom. Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, I mean, it's funny because, having daughters that are, 30 and younger, they all do that. And my lovely bride does some of those things too because of her business. But The only one I've ever dipped into is the Book of Faces. So, and I'm not very interesting to follow on there, but sarcastic, not always political, because today you can't say anything without offending 6 people in a room. So I just say happy birthday to people basically and laugh and stuff.
So if you want to follow somebody that will tell you happy birthday, Tom is your guy.
Mark's friend.
Mark's friend, Tom. Drew, how about you, buddy?
Maybe I should be friends with him.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Drew Crawley63. I am unlike Tom. I like to piss people off and stir the pot a little bit. So I'll be snarky on Twitter. If you want pleasant and well-behaved self, you can follow me on Instagram at drew.crawley63. That's where the majority of my music stuff goes up. So if you're looking for dates to come out and check me out here in Louisville or stuff about upcoming releases involving now all of our good friend Mark, those will be coming up very, very soon.
Yeah.
You got to ask what the 63 stands for there, Drew. Come on.
So 63 is, it's not the number I was, but it is the year of my favorite guitar that I own. So I've got a 1963 Fender Jaguar that is kind of my pride and joy. It's probably worth more than I am net worth wise. But that's where the 63 comes from.
And everybody needs to follow Drew on Instagram, because as this show will come out on July 6th, Drew's single from his new upcoming album will be released on July 8th, correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be out on all platforms. Wherever you like to find your music, you can find it there on the 8th.
Awesome.
All right.
So one quick plug for Drew real quick before you jump to that, Kevin, is that I'm in Key West back in my anniversary trip. And, I got my Spotify favorite album playing. Now, Drew knows this, but it'll make him blush a little bit. So we're driving down, the highway to go to Key West from Marathon. And I hear this song and I start jamming to it. And I look up on the Bluetooth to see who it was. Well, it's freaking Drew Crawley on there.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, wow, that's so cool that I'm just, jamming on his music. Didn't realize who it was at first. Then it was Crawley. So if you've not heard that, his albums yet, you'll need to follow him, because it's an amazing artist.
There he is.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
I know that guy too. I thought you were going to say, like, going to Key West, it was Jimmy Buffett doing a cover of a Drew song, but okay.
Another story.
Yeah. Hey, Bourbon Turntable. Look, we're everywhere. If you don't know what we're doing, it's your own fault. You can watch the show on YouTube. So for your eyeballs, we're on YouTube. For your ear holes, we're on podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, and Google. And we are on Instagram. We are on Facebook, and we're on Twitter. We'll post some stuff to keep you up to date on new things in music, new things in whiskey. So just search us out. It will be worth your time. I promise. I promise. Now, our next show, and we've got some, this has been a fun show, and we've got some really cool shows coming up soon. One of which is next week.
Yeah, so next week we are going to have our friend Adam Stump from Stumpy Spirits out in St. Louis coming on the pod. But also, I think maybe unconfirmed guest host, everybody's favorite, Mr. Alan Bishop, may be making a surprise experience.
Alan Bishop will be guest hosting for us for that show and the following week's show, and where we'll have Hunter Coffee from Three Boys Distillery on. So the show with Adam will be, if you're any kind of whiskey nerd, that will be a show that you'll be able to really geek out to. And the show with Hunter, I'm really not sure where that'll go, but it will be very entertaining. Both will be very entertaining, maybe for very different reasons, but they'll both be very entertaining. And we've got some fun shows coming up throughout the summer. We've got a show with Lenny Eckstein from Deerhammer Distilling out in Colorado. We're going to have Brian Hara, who wrote the book Bourbon Justice. He's going to come on the show. We're going to talk about legal matters, lawsuits, famous lawsuits in whiskey, and we're going to talk about famous lawsuits in music. So that'll be fun. And we're going to have Steve Gorman on later this summer as well, who is the drummer for the Black Crowes. back when they were making great music. So we've got some really fun stuff coming up. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on all the social media stuff so you don't miss out. So on behalf of Drew and Will and Drew's friend and Drew's number one friend, no, Drew's number one fanboy, whatever. Hey, I appreciate these guys. They're great friends, and I love them. Cheers, love, and free bird.
Cheers, boys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.